It's Tia Joseph from Brainstem Academy. I'm a IGCSE Chemistry Specialist, and today I shall guide you on Cambridge IGCSE for Chemistry, Paper 2, Multiple Choice Extended, from May-June 2024, 0620, Paper 2, Variant 2. Okay, question number 1. Which gas has the slowest rate of diffusion? So it must have the highest mass, largest mass, and out of all, is 2, this is 17, this is 16, and this is 44, calculated from taking values from the periodic table, mass values from the periodic table, and after calculation, carbon dioxide is the heaviest, so it diffuses the slowest. Next, which statements about the position of the elements in the periodic table are correct? So elements in the same group have similar chemical properties, not the period, and in the same group, they have the same number of outer shell electrons. It is the period elements in the same period that has the same number of electron shells. So out of the list, 1 and 4 is correct. Moving on to the next question. Which statements about isotopes are correct? Isotopes are atoms of the same element which has the same number of protons but different number of neutrons. They have same chemical properties, and they should have the same electronic configuration. So answer is 2 and 4. They don't have the same mass because they have different number of neutrons. Next question. Which diagram shows the arrangement of the outer shell electrons in the molecule of water? So hydrogen will contribute all electrons for sharing, whereas oxygen will use 2 of its electrons for sharing, leaving behind 4 non-bonding electrons. So number 4, it's C as an answer. Moving on. The structure of 3 substances are shown. Which substances are hard and have a high melting point? That will be our diamond and also our silicon dioxide. So 2 and 3. For graphite, it has high melting point but soft due to the layers being able to slide over each other. Okay, moving on. Please allow me to check the answers for just real quick. D, B, C, C, and D. Yeah, correct. Okay, number 6. Information about 4 substances, W, X, Y, Z are shown. W, X, Y, and Z are graphite, polyethylene, sodium chloride, and silicon dioxide, but not in that order. What are W, X, Y, and Z? Okay, so Y should be our polyethylene because it is a simple covalent molecule and does not conduct electricity, plus it has a low melting point. Whereas for others, X conducts electricity when solid, which has a very high melting point, and then Z conducts electricity but only conducts when molten. So Z must be an ionic compound. Keyword is it conducts electricity in molten state. So answer for this question is D. We just double check everything. High melting point does not conduct electricity when solid. It sounds like our giant covalent structure here, silicon dioxide. And then our graphite has high melting point, whereas it conducts electricity when solid. Polyethylene, a simple covalent molecule, and it does not conduct electricity. And Z is sodium chloride, which it conducts electricity when molten. Okay, next question. 7. Which row is correct? So this is glycine. Glycine is T2H4N1O2. T2H4N1O2. Am I making a mistake here? Yeah, I'm making a mistake here. Correct. C2H5N1O2. T2H5N1O2. And the number of different elements in glycine is 4 kinds. So B is the answer. Moving on. 8. The incomplete equation for photosynthesis is shown. Compound P is a product of the reaction. Which row describes the value of W, X, and Y and gives the empirical formula of compound P? So compound P is glucose. Its empirical formula is CH2O, derived from C6H12 O6, right? Asking for empirical formula. W, X, and Y are all the same. They are 6. If we try to balance the equation. So number 8 is A. Moving on, number 9. The concentration and volume of an aqueous alkali are known. Which additional information is required to calculate the number of moles of acid needed to neutralize the aqueous alkali? Okay, we know the concentration and volume of the alkali. And then to find out the number of moles of acid, we basically need to know we need the equation. We need the equation because other information is not sufficient at all. Because we don't know what's the acid. Number 1, we don't know what's the acid. It may be a sulfuric acid which produces 2 hydrogen ions. It may be hydrochloric acid which produces 1 hydrogen ion. So knowing the concentration is not enough. Knowing the acid formula is also not enough. As even though we know the formula, we don't have the volume or the concentration to calculate the number of moles. And if we have volume, we also don't know because we don't have the concentration of the acid to know what's the answer. But having the equation, we are able to calculate the mole of the alkali and use the mole of the alkali comparing to the equation and find out the mole ratio of the acid to the alkali. That's how we're able to figure out moles of acid. We need the equation. Number 10. Which statement about electrolysis is correct? Electrons move in the external circuit towards the cathode to the anode, and electrons don't move through electrolyte. Wrong. Positive ions head towards the anode. Is it? No. No. Wait, let me double check everything. Electrolysis. Negative ions don't move in the external circuit. Electrons move in the external circuit towards the cathode. Positive ions move through the electrolyte towards the anode. Doesn't sound right. It should be the negative ions that move towards the anode. Electrons don't move in the electrolyte. So the best answer is B. It's true that electrons are actually supplied by the negative terminal and then heading towards, and then there's electrons flowing back to terminal. In a way, it's correct because it does flow toward the cathode. So B is the best answer out of all. We don't have other options. Next, aqueous copper 2 sulfate is electrolyzed using copper electrodes. What is the half equation for the reaction at the cathode? At the cathode, reduction occurs. So all oxidation equations are removed. We just remove all oxidation equations, so we leave with A or D. And now we're doing copper 2's electrolysis. So copper 2 will get discharged to form copper. So D is the answer. Moving on, 12. 3 statements about activation energy are listed. Which statements are correct? Activation energy is always endothermic. Activation energy for exothermic reactions is always greater than endothermic reaction. It's not true. And collision particles must have at least activation energy before they can react. So 1 and 3 are correct. 1 and 3 are correct. So C is the answer. Moving on, a student adds excess magnesium ribbon to 10 cubic centimeter of 0.5 mole per cubic decimeters sulfuric acid. The hydrogen gas is collected and its total volume is measured every 10 seconds. The experiment is repeated with 5 cubic centimeter of 0.5 mole per cubic decimeter sulfuric acid added to 5 cm cube of water using the same mass of magnesium ribbon. Which line on the graph shows the result of the second experiment? we are using less volume, so means there's less moles. Less moles. Right. Yeah, less moles because of dilution. Less moles are available. So plus the concentration is lower. Concentration is lower. As of 5 cubic centimeter of 0.5, adding water will dilute it. It's a half 1-to-1 dilution factor. So we are currently at 0.25 mole per cubic decimeters. It's diluted by half. So less moles plus less concentration. That means the rate of reaction will be slower, plus the volume of the acid form will be lower. So D is the answer. Moving on, 14. Which row describes the condition that produces the greatest yield of ethanol? So we must use low temperature as of delta H is negative. So it means that the flow reaction is exothermic. To produce more ethanol, we need lower temperatures. Pressure, we need to use high pressure to shift the equilibrium to the right hand side. So C is the answer. Moving on, 15. Which role identifies the pressure catalyst used for the conversion of sulfur dioxide to sulfur dioxide in contact process? So 2-ATM, vanadium 5 oxide. So B is the answer. Moving on, 16. Which equation represents a redox reaction? D, I think. Because in general, switching partners is not really a redox reaction. So A is not redox, precipitation is not redox reaction. Carbonic acid is not a redox as well. No change in oxidation number whatsoever. And I can clearly see that this is increasing from a 0 to something like plus 4/3. This was negative 4/3. Right, right, yeah. Is it? Great. This is positive 4/3. That's negative 2/4. I'm not, my brain can't process this bit, yeah. But I do see there's an increase in oxidation number for iron. And hydrogen is experiencing a decrease in oxidation number. So C is the answer. B, if you check all the oxidation states, it doesn't change. Cl is -1, HCl -1, H is +1, HCl is +1, oxygen is -2, Q3 is -2, sorry, and P stays at +5. Fe3O4 is special. I remember this one is a mix of iron 2 and iron 3s. Okay, or easier, no, we don't have to find out the net average, we just need to know it's composed of iron 2 and iron 3s. So it's increasing oxidation number, so C is the answer. Okay, next, the equation for the reaction between aluminium and copper 2 oxide shown. Which statements about this equation are correct? So aluminium is 0, copper 2 is +2, oxide is -2, aluminium is +3, oxide is -2, copper is 0. So oxidation number of copper in the reaction is +2, and then the aluminium oxidation number is not +6 but +3, and the copper turns into 0. So 3 and 4 is the answer. C is the answer. Moving on. What is the color of thermophthalate in dilute hydrochloric acid? So it's a colorless. It's colorless in acidic solutions. Next, two acids, P and Q, with the same concentration and volume are reacted separately with the same mass of magnesium ribbon. The reaction produces the same total volume of hydrogen gas, but acid Q reacts much more slowly than acid Q. Which explanation for the reaction between P and Q in terms of differences is correct? So from here, we know that Q must be a weaker acid. Q must be a weaker acid. So C is the answer. It partially dissociates, whereas P is fully dissociated. Next, which process is not used in the preparation of an insoluble salt? So precipitation process, we don't need to do crystallization because the salt is already insoluble. It's a solid. We don't need to do crystallization. Next, lithium and potassium are metals in group 1 of the periodic table. Lithium has a melting point of 181 and a density of 0.53 grams per cubic centimeters. Which row describes the melting point and density of potassium? Okay, going down, the melting point decreases and the density increases for group 1 metals. So melting point should be less than 181 but greater than 0.53. So B is the answer. Next, 22. Which statements about transition elements are correct? They form ions with variable oxidation numbers and they have high melting points. They form colored compounds and they have high density. So 2 and 3 are correct. Next, which statement describes the elements in group 8 of the periodic table? Their atoms have full outer electron shells. They are not metals. They are unreactive though. They are monoatomic gases, not diatomic. So 1 and 3 is the answer for group 8. Next question. 4 metals QRS2 are each added to separate samples of water, steam, and dilute hydrochloric acid. The results are shown. Which statements are correct? So R is the least reactive, as we can see, because no reaction for everything. So P could be potassium, as it reacts very quickly and vigorously. S should be less reactive than Q because of its reaction speed. And metals generally react faster with steam than they react with water. That's actually correct. 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, and 4. Next, metal X acts as a sacrificial metal to prevent iron from corroding. Metal X does not act as a sacrificial metal to prevent aluminium from corroding. It's X. Zinc. Because zinc is less reactive than aluminium. Magnesium can sacrifice itself. Silver and copper is more like they are unreactive. So we can actually treat it like a barrier. So zinc is at an awkward position where it couldn't protect aluminium from corroding. Next, 26. Which equation represents the reduction of a compound found in the hematite in a blast furnace? So hematite is not about aluminium. For reduction, it will be D, as iron trioxide is reduced to iron by the action of carbon monoxide as a reducing agent. Next, which statements about the treatment of domestic water supplies are correct? Filtration is used to remove insoluble substances. And then carbon is used to remove taste and odors from the water. So 1 and 3 are correct. Chlorine is used to kill microbes. Sedimentation is to remove bigger insoluble substances. So 1 and 3 is the best answer out of all the answers. Next question, 28. Which statement about water is correct? It turns anhydrous copper 2 sulfate from white to blue. Next, cupro-nickel is used to make coins. The arrangement of atoms in cupro-nickel is shown. What kind of substance is cupro-nickel? It's a mixture of metals. It's an alloy. So this is the answer. Moving on. 30. Which physical properties are typical of all metals? All metals are malleable. They have good heat conductivity. And then low density is only for certain metals, but transition metals have high density. So 1 and 3 is the best option out of all. Next, which oxide is used to neutralize acid gases in flue gas desulfurization? That's calcium oxide. 2. Next, 32. Some information about 3 gases are listed. PQR. Gas P forms magnesium. Gas P forms when magnesium reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid. Gas Q makes 78% of air. Gas R forms when gas P reacts with gas Q. What is gas R? Ammonia. Because gas P is hydrogen gas Gas Q is nitrogen gas. Nitrogen and hydrogen react together to form ammonia. Next, which formula represents an alkene? It's a hydrocarbon with a 1:2 ratio, so B is the answer, 2:4. Next, the two structures of two compounds used to make an ester are shown. What is the name of this ester? So this one is 3 carbon. It's propanoic acid forming a propanoic component. This one is ethanol forming ethyl group. So ethyl propanoic. A is the answer. Moving on. Which statement about a homologous series is correct? So they have the same uniform formula, not the same molecular formula. They should have different physical properties showing a trend. They should have similar chemical properties. So next, which statement about aqueous ethanoic acid is correct? So ethanoic acid has a functional group of COOH, correct? It does react with carbonate. Sorry, it does react with carbonates, but not forming hydrogen, form carbon dioxide. Since it's an acid, it should turn universal indicator paper not blue, but more towards the orange side, as it's a weak acid. So it has a pH lower than 7, as it's an acid. So 1 and 4 is the best answer here. Next, 37. Alkenes react with steam in an addition reaction. Some alkenes form only one alcohol product. Some alkenes produce 2 different alcohols with structural isomers. Which role gives the number of alcohol isomers formed when ethene reacts with steam and when propene reacts with steam? When ethene reacts with steam, only one possible product. When propene reacts with steam, you can form 2 possible products. We have to draw it to see it. Basically, you can form either, let me just simplify, propene, right? You can form either a propane 2O or a propane 1O. It depends on the water, how is it added to the propene structure. Ethene, no difference, because if it only has 2 carbon, there's no difference in the structure. So B is the answer. Next, 38. What is the advantage of manufacturing ethanol by fermentation rather than by the addition of steam to ethene? So fermentation uses raw materials that are renewable, that is glucose. It produces carbon dioxide that can cause global warming. It's forming impure ethanol, which means we need to fractional distillate it to get a pure product, and it's quite slow. Next, 39. This diagram shows the structure of this polymer. Which structure represents the monomer for this polymer? So it seems to me it's an addition polymer given the structure. These are the repeating units. So this is the addition polymer. So the basic unit, the monomer, should be the exact same structure, except now it is C. It is a double bond. So yeah, C is the answer. We eliminate D as of it's not possible. As this is it's an addition polymer. B, it doesn't look like the original monomer, and then A also doesn't look like the original monomer. The original monomer should be this repeating unit, but with a double bond. So the first carbon is bonded to a CH3 and also a H. The second carbon is bonded to a H and then COH. So answer is C. And last question of the day, which piece of apparatus is used to measure 24.5 cubic centimeters of gas produced during a reaction? We can use a measuring cylinder because these two are containers instead of measuring devices. Volumetric pipette can only measure fixed volume, such as 25.0 cubic centimeters, not a variable volume like 24.5 cubic centimeters. So measuring cylinder is the best out of this scenario. Okay, so thank you for watching. If you like how I teach, you can also click the link below to join my masterclass, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.